Welcome to the Perky Radio Show on the WDRB Media Network. My guest today is Cornell Bunting, and he's very well accomplished. Let me go through a list of things he's doing right now. He's a published author, he's a public speaker, he's a mentor, and he's also a video game developer. I know my 11-year-old is going to love this interview. Can you hear me, Cornell?
I can hear you, sir. Thank you.
Excellent. I know, obviously, everyone loves video games. So the fact that I interview a video game developer today, my son's going to be very jealous. He's going to say, oh, watch that interview. What steps do I need to take? What classes should I take? What school should I go to? So no, he's super excited about interviewing you. So thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we'll kind of take it in order. Obviously, this is an entrepreneur show. We like to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, what got you started, a success story, a struggle. But we'll start with all those different things when it comes to being a published author. What got you started being an author? Name the books you have, and kind of what's the kind of a summary of the books, and why people should pick them up.
Well, so for me, I started writing back in high school when I did plays for the school, and I did a lot of drama. So I did some screenwriting. I fell in love with the writing and how I could think of a story and put it on paper and have a crowd of people enjoy it.
Excellent.
I didn't really pursue it after high school because I got distracted into other things in life, and it wasn't until I was in jail in confinement that I realized that I needed to pick up my calling and get back in it. So I started back writing there, and that's a whole other story that, might be for another show. But, long story short, all that stuff that I was accused of, I got acquitted, and, they expunged all that stuff. And when I got out, I decided, I wanted to put out one of my children's story that I wrote, that I hid a grown-up story in the kid's story. And so I wanted to challenge the readers to see if they could find the hidden story in that story.
Okay.
So I decided to put out Lion with No Roar. That got picked up by Austin Macaulay in London, Canary Wharf. And so they put it out. And, it's actually done fairly well so far. And then I put out PD Like Drip Drop. All my books, they have a message. I've never written a book that doesn't have a message in it, and it's beneficial for the kids. And so even my adult books that I write, even though none of those are published yet, but I just sent 3 manuscripts to a publisher, so I'm waiting back to hear what that looks like. So, right now people can go on my website, which is cornellbunting.com, to look on both those books.
Okay. And the website, I'll just repeat it nice and slow, is Cornell, which is his first name, Cornell, last name Bunting, BUNTING.com. That's where you can find the books he's published for children. So if you can go back to each book, tell us kind of the moral of the story for each book and what inspired you to write each one.
So Lion with No Roar, the inspiration from Lion with No Roar is myself. Like I said, I was in confinement, and I am a Leo. I consider myself a lion. I am aggressive in, pursuing what I feel could be something beautiful, and for me, I'm not afraid of failure. So, I have to try and see what comes of it, and then, I have to learn whatever those lessons are.
Okay.
So this story, is about a lion, a king and a queen lion in this land of the mundo that were very concerned with the well-being of the land because they were of old age and they didn't have a cub of their own.
I see.
And so, after crying to the gods decided to bless them with a cub. But because of their old age, the cub was born with no roar. And he needed to find himself. He needed to find who he was and what his calling was in order for that roar to come back. So the storyline brings a lot of challenge to the cub, whose name is Bobtavius. And Bobtavius is a longer version of my 11-year-old son, nicknamed Bobsy. So, it was just one of those things because, he got bullied a little bit in school and, I wanted to highlight a little bit of that as well in the book and just kind of help kids to understand, how you can defeat bullying or, someone that's doing you wrong without getting into a physical altercation. And that's just me saying that because I don't really want to give away the story of the book.
Sure.
Instead have people go and get the story and just kind of see what the story is. But as I said earlier, there is a story hidden in the story. So that's what Lion with No Roar is. And then Petey Like Drip Drop is a shorter book, a more simple book, younger crowd, from a 4 to a 7-year-old type of book, which a boy gator that loves the water. He calls it Drip Drop, but he doesn't know the difference. He doesn't know the difference of the water. He doesn't know when it's rain. He doesn't know what it's like, when someone works out and they generate that sweat on their face. He thinks it's all the same thing. So in this book, I just kind of differentiated and have him learn a few things as you go on the little journey that I put him on in this book. Petey Like Drip Drop.
Very interesting. And have you got these books in stores, or do you sell just on your website, or what's your distribution channels?
So they're available everywhere online. There's Barnes & Noble, the Book A Million, Amazon. Anywhere you put it in, it's there.
Well, very good. Congratulations. What was that journey like? Can you share a little bit about that as far as getting a published book into a store?
It was a very long journey.
When were they written originally? How long ago were they written?
So Lion with No Roar was written back in 2014.
2014, okay.
So, it was written a while back. The thing is that the practice takes a while sometimes when you're trying to get a traditional contract. And sometimes you have to go the self-published route, and then maybe you'll get discovered from the self-published route.
Okay.
But it takes a lot of writing query letters and trying to help a literary agent understand who you are as an individual and what the story's about and why you think they should be giving it a chance, in the bookshelf and stuff like that, So
sure. Well, congratulations on getting the story. That's quite an achievement.
Thank you.
So you decided to self-publish that first book?
So first, Lion with No Roar did get self-published because I had gotten rejected. I want to say maybe a little over 200 times.
Of course.
And, so I put it out on that platform, and some opportunity came, where I was able to go speak, in Europe and in England, and from those speaking engagements, I was somewhat discovered, and I had the publisher in London send me a contract for the Lion with No Roar book for them to republish it and put it out on their platform.
Very good. But you said originally you had 200 people tell you no?
Yeah, I had over 200 rejections.
Wow.
I had found a lot of different places, but, a lot of them, either they had enough authors under their belt and they wasn't taking anymore, or a lot of them were saying, it wasn't along the line of what they do, and then some were like, they weren't really interested at this time, and it was just, different responses like that.
Sure. So what kept you going? I think most people would just quit after the first 50 or first 100 rejections. How did you what motivated you to keep pushing forward after so many rejections?
The one thing for me is I dreamt a lot of this. For me, this is a dream that I dreamt, and I decided I wanted to live this dream. I want to accomplish it, and I knew it would be hard and it would be discouraging. But because I believe in myself and I believe in what I do, even if it takes 5 years or whatever to really get to the mass and the mass to get the message, because a lot of times the mess don't get it the first time or the second time around.
Sure.
But I believe in myself, and I believe in what I do, and I believe in God. So I trust God, and like I said, I had this dream that I will be, I'll have a lot of books out published, and I'll be giving away my books, because that's my ultimate goal, is to give away my books. Where I have enough sponsors to sponsor me and sponsor what I'm doing, so I can give away my books to kids and educate them a little bit all over the world.
That's excellent. Well, very good. And it's a great story along with it, too, as far as the perseverance. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are up against. And you may not hear about it on Shark Tank, how many times that they failed or how many times they were told no. They just hear the money. Like this person's worth so much money now, and they just consider it overnight success. And a lot of the behind the scenes I like this show to really, just to really highlight is, the mental toughness you had to have in order to continue to push forward, to get this self-published, then all of a sudden do some speaking engagements and then get another publisher to pick you up, and then kind of a relaunch as well. So I think it's fantastic. And the moral of the story is keep your head up, keep pushing forward.
Right.
If you believe in it enough and you have the persistence and the stamina, then anything's possible.
Right.
So this kind of brings me into the second title that you have, which is public speaker, which sounds like being a public speaker got you the publisher for your first book. So it's
right.
So it's interesting how they are closely correlated. How did you get into public speaking? Did someone say, "Hey, you're inspiring, you should do your own circuit," or how did that happen for you?
No. So in 2011, I won the Elaine McLaughlin Award for Southwest Florida, and it was in hospitality. Back then, I was a bellman and ballet individual, but I loved people, and I always wanted people to have a memorable stay, and I always wanted to be that individual that when you meet me, even if you meet me for 2 minutes, you will remember me, because there's just something about me. So I think from that had happened, I had a big company in Ohio. They flew down to Florida and they said, "Hey, we would love you to come up and speak to a sales team. We'd like a guy like, with your type of personality and how you talk to kind of motivate them." And that was my first, gig. And I didn't even really take it serious, but they put me up in a hotel. They flew me up there. They paid me some money, it was beautiful. And I went up there and, I talked to them and I just I like using scenarios, and I like to make things simple sometimes for people to kind of understand it,
Right.
Because we live in a world right now where there's these formulas that we need to understand, and if we don't understand the formula, then we're going to be going around in circles and we'd be failing, and, we got to pay attention to the details to apply ourselves better the next time around, so we don't repeat, the first mistake we did,
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was. That's how it started.
So the people in Ohio, and I ran into this situation. I'm curious if you had the same situation happen to you. Did the people in Ohio say, "Cornell, what do you charge for a speaking engagement?" Did you have a number in your head, or did you have to just make it up, or how'd you figure that part out?
I didn't even have a number in my head. They said, "Dude, that's about $3,600." I'm like, "That's lovely, man. I'll do that." So
okay, so they just threw a number at you. They didn't ask you what you charged. They just said, "Here's what we're willing to pay you," and that was it.
No, they didn't ask what I charge. And I mean, if they had asked what I charged, it would have probably been lower than $3,600, because, like I said, I wasn't established or anything.
Right.
So,
that's great for your first speaking engagement.
Yeah, man. So it was beautiful, and from there, I did a lot of groups, through my church, and I go to Next Level Church, and then I did some libraries, some individuals, from different libraries that knew me and knew us, how I talk to people, said, we would love for you to come out, and and a lot of them, like, especially the organization, I wouldn't charge them a lot, it'd be like maybe $500, and so. And just to really get myself out there, because
Sure.
I know there's a lot of individuals, that, that do it. And, I would say I'm like a perfect motivational speaker. I love working on my craft, but I'm a very unpredictable person. And I feel like because I am so unpredictable, there's always more,
I
and
see.
people always want more. Because I think once people figure out, okay, this person is like this, that's it, you know, they move on to something else.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, that's
Yeah.
great that you got that opportunity, and it led to helping you get published. Like I said, they all kind of work together hand in hand.
Right.
And I guess help me understand, when you got hired by the Ohio company to do a sales training, did you have a sales background, or what made them feel like you were the best speaker or...
Well, I was in the field for over 16 years, so
Oh, I see.
I had the experience. You know,
Okay.
I had all the experience, and I had a lot of accomplishments. You know, I was the top guy that was just, because for me, it was never about the money. It was about the people and getting the people satisfied.
What were you selling?
You know, so, well, first...
Or is that irrelevant? It's sales or sales.
You're right, yeah. It's just, you know, it was golf products at one point because I was on the golf course, you know, as a cart attendant and stuff like that. And then, you know, in the Belmont field, and, you know, the company, the hotel itself, you know, getting people to come there and stay, you know, and me talking to people every now and then and say, hey, you know, I really think you should check out this experience because this would be something that would really leave a nice memory on you, you know, if you do it. And so because I had so many people coming, recommending to making sure that I was the guy that was their assistant, you know, helping them with that experience, it really put me over the top. And, you know, a lot of people, and it was from that I got nominated for the award. I had a little over 14 big comments. And this award, they give out 6 a year, and it has over 520 participants that get nominated for these. But they only had 6 categories. So, I mean, to win one of those, the chances are very slim because I got nominated the year before. I never won. But, you know, at least I was, they call you a star among stars. You know, so it was just, for me, it's more the experience, you know, because I think someone that has the experience and have gone through those situations is more effective than someone that learns something on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Or none of that, because it's not as authentic as an individual that have gone through those situations.
Sure.
And I think for a lot of people, you know, with even this company, I think they wanted that. They didn't want, because they didn't want their sales rep to sound like they were trained from, you know, script or, you know, some machine that tells them this is how you got to do it. You know, it's really how you go into something, you know, because you want to love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And once you love what you're doing and you're comfortable with what you're doing, then everything else is easy for you to accomplish that. And, you know, when you don't put, you know, you want the money, of course, to pay your bills and all this, but when you don't make it that, it makes it more pleasing to the customer. Because now the customer feels like you really care about them as an individual and their experience, you know, in whatever that is that you're selling.
Right.
So, you know, for me, that was really how I was effective, and they really liked that. And so, you know, it's one of those type of situations where it just worked and people liked the result that was coming from it. You know, so I just continued doing that. I had some group classes that I did where I had I would max it at 25 people. You know, I did a class on facing your fears where I touched on, you know, 10 top fears, and you know, it was just one of those situations where everything that I touched on were things that was going on and people needed to hear those, and it was just effective.
Excellent. And they could relate to it, I'm sure, too.
Yes, sir.
which is why it was so effective.
Yes, I never try to talk about something that I can't relate to,
Right.
because then, I'm making up stuff and I'm fumbling,
Becomes less authentic as well.
Right.
So we still have two more categories to cover. We're running a little bit short on time, so let's cover both these as efficiently as we can. Mentor. You said you're mentoring people. Who are you mentoring? How would someone hire you to be their mentor?
So I do. So one of the areas, like I said, I go to this church where they find different leaders from different trainings and stuff like that, and I've done a few trainings, and so what I did was, they do like a workshop. You kind of talk about your experience, and because my experience was so huge in certain areas, like I had said earlier, I was in jail for 10 months, facing 32 years to life in prison, and a fabricated story. And like I said, that might be a story for another time.
Sure.
But because of how that all played out, people really wanted to listen to me, and how I could stay sane, from all that. And because I died in 2016, that part of it was more fascinating to people because I had an out-of-body experience. And so I was gone for 16 minutes. And, it's a whole lot of stuff that, kind of unfold that I needed to experience, which is being written in the book I'm writing right now. That's called The Art Took a Break, which hopefully will be out sometime next year, so people get a chance to read it and kind of, experience some of that as well that I went through. But that's really what kind of set me apart somewhat and put me in that place where I was able to be mentor to individuals and help them to understand how important it is for them to, take their health serious and understand how important they are in taking care of themselves, and knowing that, who's relying on them won't be able to benefit from them if they're not okay,
Sure. And I think we all experience dark times, and
Right.
It's just a matter of how do you get through those dark times, and sometimes you're in dark places and dark times. So
Right.
to share your experience and how you got through the dark times and turn your life around, how you stayed positive through the challenging time you were facing, I think is inspirational to people, and that's why they want to listen, because maybe they're experiencing a dark time, maybe they have a friend that's experiencing a dark time, and they need a little oomph, they need a little inspiration to get through it. Because I think it's definitely easier to give up and throw in the towel, but you had something inside of you that kept you moving forward and staying and find a silver lining of sorts until you finally were acquitted and life was back to normal. But it's a long 10 months that you had to fight that battle internally as well as externally, I'm sure.
I did, man. And, what I did was I write a lot of poems, based around a lot of them. And one of them that I wrote one when I died, when I came back, and I feel like I'm living my second life right now. It's called Death Found Me Running. And it's pretty short, so, I can entertain your listeners with it real quick.
Sure, help yourself.
Doing a walk like shaking, feeling the art making, seeing a lot of people taking, talk on the phone to mom baking, concerned with life ranking, me and 11 not telling, book to see everyone reading, neighbors and friends at gathering, wake up to breakfast eating, English steam cup drinking, close to wear right dressing, drive on road for church going, the eight thoughts of set calling, not the mood or fight for winning, on this part in mid-track moving, I feel to remember my thinking, be not good with doing knocking, devil found a way to get things rocking, emotions run wild when lip singing, on this day, death found me running,
Very nice.
Yeah. So, every now and then, like, different pieces, I'll perform at a seminar or something. And I also lecture every now and then for one of the doctors at a college here called FCCU. I talk with diverse students, and I work with library in Peckham in London as well, to do mentoring to the youth over there as well.
That's fantastic. So let's hit the last category because we're running short on time here. I think a couple minutes left. You mentioned you're a video game developer. So I'm sure anyone that's listening that loves video games, plays video games, has kids that play video games, has relatives love video games, they're all intrigued. How did you get involved with that?
For me, I used to love playing arcade games when I was a kid, and I was always fascinated with games. And so when I got back into writing, a lot of the storyline that I wrote, I wanted to turn some of those storylines into gameplay. And so my second degree is gaming and simulation programming.
Oh, really?
So from learning, C++ coding and learning to write in Microsoft programs, to write the different pseudocodes and the different language. It was fascinating to me what you can write on a computer and put it in a program and just watch the things that happen. And video game really helped me to understand how important maths is, because mathematics, I can never pronounce that word properly.
It's okay.
It was just cool how you could see, you could do an equation, and that equation that you put in the code and would determine, if you're shooting a bullet or something or whatever it is, or you're doing a physical fighting with two characters, how that would impact those characters, And so I really was fascinated with it, and I wanted to do video games myself. So right now I have Nostril Adventures that's about 90% complete. Because I've been so busy, I've put off the last part of the load to some friends of mine that has this mobile gaming LLC company in Orlando, and so they're finishing it up for me right now.
How exciting!
So that game should be out in May.
It'll be available on your website as well?
And that will be up on my website. If people go on my website now, they'll kind of see like a brief on the video game.
Okay.
And then if they go on my YouTube channel, which is Cornell Bunting, one of my intro trailer that I did, they're just kind of telling people to subscribe to my channel. You can see a part of the gameplay in that video as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How exciting.
So yes, sir.
So let me get another summary real quick because we need to wrap up. Again, my guest today is Cornell Bunting. He's a published author, public speaker, mentor, and we just talked about the video game he developed that'll be available this summer. Yes, this summer.
Yes,
excellent.
Yes.
It can all be found on his website, which is cornellbunting.com. And Cornell, you have an incredible story. You're so well accomplished. I'm so honored and blessed to have you on the show today. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on the show. It was a pleasure, and it was lovely talking with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And you're watching and listening to the Perky Collar Radio Show on WDRB Media. We'll see you next week.